I'm standing in the bridal suite, still wearing my wedding dress. I'm standing in the bridal suite, still wearing my wedding dress, when I hear the applause erupt from the vineyard below. Distant, muffled through the stone walls of the villa, but unmistakable. They're clapping. For me, for us, for Daniel, who just stood at that altar for 27 minutes, waiting for his bride to return from a bathroom emergency. Tyler's camera is on the antique dresser, lens cap off. The little red recording light is dark. Has been since 3:47 p.m., according to the timestamp on the screen. It's 4:14 p.m. now. I can see myself in the mirror across the room. Vera Wang, vintage lace, $8,500. The pins in my updo are loose. My lipstick, MAC Russian Red, the one the makeup artist swore would last through tears and kisses, is smeared across my chin. You should go back, Tyler says. He's already adjusting his camera strap, his voice casual, like we just had a conversation about aperture settings, instead of what actually happened. They're waiting. My phone buzzes. Jess, my maid of honor. Where are you? Daniel's waiting to finish. Another buzz. My mother. Claire Elizabeth, get down here right now. I smoothed down the dress, 20 buttons down the back, took 3 bridesmaids 15 minutes to fasten this morning, and walked toward the door. Tyler catches my wrist. Hey! His thumb brushes my hand. You okay? I pull away. I have to go read my vows. Claire, don't. I leave him there and make my way down the stone path, past the confused cocktail servers and the concerned wedding coordinator. 180 guests turn to watch me approach. Daniel's parents, who flew from Seoul. My college roommates in their sage green bridesmaid dresses. Daniel's groomsmen, looking awkward in their navy suits. And Daniel, standing at the altar in front of the arbor, we spent $3,200 on. White roses and eucalyptus, exactly what I'd pinned on Pinterest 14 months ago. His face floods with relief when he sees me. You're back, he says softly. Are you okay? We can stop if you need. No. My voice sounds strange, mechanical. Let's do this. The officiant, Daniel's uncle, who got ordained online for this, clears his throat. Well then, Claire, I believe you are about to share your vows. I unfold the card in my hand. Crane and Company stationery, custom pressed with our monogram. I wrote these vows 6 weeks ago at our kitchen table while Daniel was at work. Rewrote them 4 times. Cried while writing the final version. I read them now, every word. I watched Daniel cry as I promised to love him through everything, to be his partner, to build a life together. I watch him mouth, I love you, when I finish. I don't feel anything. The officiant pronounces us husband and wife. Daniel kisses me, soft, reverent, tasting like tears and champagne from the pre-ceremony toast. Everyone erupts in applause again. Louder this time. My dad is sobbing in the front row. Daniel's mom is clutching her husband's hand. I just married a man who waited for me for 27 minutes while I was upstairs with our wedding photographer. And nobody knows, except me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I became this person. I met Daniel Park 3 years ago at a tech mixer in Soma. I was 22, 6 months into my first marketing job at a startup that would fold within a year. He was 24, already a senior engineer at Facebook, before it became Meta. Before anyone cared about the metaverse, he was standing by the bar, clearly uncomfortable, checking his phone every 30 seconds. My friend Jess nudged me. That guy's been looking at you for 10 minutes. The one who looks like he'd rather be literally anywhere else? That's how you know he's employed in tech. I walked over, asked him what he was drinking. He looked startled, like women didn't usually approach him. They probably didn't. Daniel was handsome in an understated way. Good bone structure, careful style, but fundamentally uncomfortable with attention. The kind of guy who'd be objectively attractive in his LinkedIn photo, but somehow invisible at parties. Water, he said, holding up his glass sheepishly. I'm driving. To a mixer with an open bar? I don't really drink. Religious? Just don't like feeling out of control. I should have paid attention to that. To the fact that Daniel Park, software architect, needed to feel in control of every variable in his life. That he approached relationships like he approached code, with careful planning, clear parameters, predictable outcomes. But I was 22 and working 60-hour weeks at a startup held together by venture capital and cocaine. And here was this stable, employed, kind man who looked at me like I was the most interesting person in the room. We went on our first date 3 days later. Burmese restaurant in the sunset, the kind of place with paper napkins and incredible food. He asked me about my work, actually listened to my answers, remembered details I'd mentioned at the mixer. When the check came, he paid without making a performance of it. Walked me to my car, didn't try to kiss me. I had a really nice time, he said. Can I see you again? I said yes. For the next year, Daniel was the most attentive boyfriend I'd ever had. He brought me coffee in the morning, oat milk latte, extra shot, the order memorized after our second date. He met my friends, charmed my parents, integrated seamlessly into my life. When my startup folded and I had a panic attack about rent, he helped me revise my resume and connected me with recruiters. I landed at a better company with a $40,000 raise. See, he said when I got the offer, you were always this good. You just needed the right opportunity. We moved in together after 18 months. His apartment in Soma, 2 bedrooms, $4,800 a month that he could easily afford on his meta salary. My name went on the lease, but we both knew it was his place. His furniture, his dishes, his careful systems for how things should be organized. I told myself it didn't matter, that this was what adult relationships looked like. Compromise, stability, someone who loved you consistently, even when you were anxious or difficult or had a bad quarter at work. I told myself I loved him, and maybe I did. Or maybe I loved the life he represented, the relationship my friends envied, the boyfriend my mother praised, the future I was supposed to want. 2 years in, we went to Big Sur for a long weekend. Daniel had been acting strange all week, distracted, nervous, checking his phone constantly. I thought he was stressed about a project at work. We hiked out to a cliff overlooking the ocean. Golden hour, the light impossibly perfect, waves crashing below. Daniel stopped walking. Claire. I turned around. He was kneeling, ring box open, cushion-cut diamond, platinum band, easily $18,000. I've been planning this for 6 months, he said. His voice was shaking. You're my best friend, my partner. I can't imagine my life without you in it. Will you marry me? 180 people would later hear an expanded version of this speech at our wedding. But right there, on that cliff, it was just us. Daniel looking up at me with absolute certainty, absolute love, absolute trust that I felt the same way. I said yes, because what else was I going to say? No, I'm not sure I love you enough to marry you, but I love the life we've built, and I'm 24 and terrified of starting over? I said yes, and he slipped the ring on my finger, and I cried, and he thought they were happy tears. Maybe some of them were. The wedding planning started immediately. My mother had been waiting for this since I was 12. She had a Pinterest board with 847 pins, a spreadsheet, a list of venues she'd been tracking for availability. June wedding, she announced at dinner the week after the engagement. Outdoor ceremony, California venue, maybe Napa, Carmel, and we're inviting everyone. The Thompsons throw beautiful weddings. Daniel's parents flew in from Seoul to meet my family. Traditional, formal, thrilled their son was settling down. His mother kept touching my hand, saying something in Korean that Daniel translated as, "You'll make a beautiful bride." I felt like I was watching my life from outside my body. We booked the venue, a vineyard in Napa Valley, $12,000 for the site rental alone. And suddenly, there were 8 million decisions to make. Save the dates, invitations, florals, catering, band versus DJ signature cocktails, escort cards, welcome bags for out-of-town guests, the dress, the cake, the fucking napkin colors. I became consumed by it. Type A overachiever, marketing director with project management skills. Finally had a project that was just mine. I made spreadsheets. I scheduled vendor meetings. I spent my lunch breaks scrolling through wedding hashtags and real wedding galleries. Daniel was supportive, patient, willing to have opinions when I asked, but mostly letting me lead. Whatever makes you happy, he'd say. It's your day. Not our day, my day. I should have noticed that distinction. 12 months before the wedding, I had coffee with a photographer I'd found on Instagram. Tyler Hayes Photography. His work was gorgeous, intimate, candid, emotional without being cheesy. He shot mainly film, which gave everything a romantic, timeless quality. His website said he'd been shooting weddings for 6 years. What it didn't say was that Tyler Hayes was objectively hot. 6'2", dark hair, the kind of effortless style that made you think he woke up looking like a J. Crew ad. Confidence that bordered on arrogance. When he shook my hand at the coffee shop, he held it a second too long. "Claire Thompson," he said, sitting down across from me with an Americano. "You're even more photogenic than your Instagram suggested." I laughed, tried not to blush. That's quite an opening. I believe in honesty. If I'm going to spend 12 hours photographing someone's wedding, I need to be excited about photographing them. He leaned forward. And I'm excited about this one. We talked for an hour about wedding photography philosophy, his approach, package options. He was charismatic, funny, made me feel like we'd been friends for years. When I mentioned I was nervous about being photographed all day, he waved a hand. Please, you're a natural. Some people are stiff in front of the camera. You're not. Trust me, I can tell. You've known me for 45 minutes. I've shot 200 weddings. I can read people. I booked him on the spot. $12,000 for full-day coverage, engagement session included, all digital files plus film scans. Daniel raised his eyebrows at the price but didn't push back. If it's what you want, he said. The engagement shoot was in October, 10 months before the wedding. Marin Headlands, golden hour, fog rolling over the hills. Tyler brought 2 cameras and a reflector and an easygoing energy that immediately put me at ease. Daniel, however, was not at ease. He was awkward, uncomfortable, kept asking, "What should I do with my hands?" "Just hold her," Tyler said, "like you'd hold her normally. Forget I'm here." We posed. Tyler circled us, adjusting angles, calling out directions. "Claire, chin up slightly. Daniel, pull her closer. Good, good. Now look at each other. Think about something that makes you laugh." Daniel tried. He really did. But he was stiff, mechanical, the engineer brain unable to shut off the awareness of being observed. "Okay," Tyler said after 20 minutes of this. "Daniel, man, you've got to relax. Here." He stepped in, physically adjusting Daniel's hands on my waist, tilting his shoulders. "Like this. More natural. You're in love with her, right? Show me." Daniel nodded, tried again. It was slightly better. Then Tyler turned to me. "Claire, you're doing great, but your shoulders are tense." He stepped behind me, hands on my shoulders, thumbs pressing gently into the knots at the base of my neck. "Breathe. Drop your shoulders. There you go." His hands stayed on my shoulders for a beat longer than necessary. I felt it. The awareness of his body behind mine, his breath near my ear, the smell of his cologne. Something woody and expensive. "Better," he said, stepping back. "Much better." The rest of the shoot, I was hyper-aware of him. Every time he adjusted my chin or moved my hair or told me to shift my weight, I felt it like a current. Daniel didn't notice. He was too focused on trying not to look awkward. When we finished, Tyler showed us some shots on the back of his camera. They were beautiful. Daniel looked stiff in half of them, but I looked good, glowing, happy, like a woman in love. "You're a natural," Tyler said again, catching my eye. "Daniel's a lucky guy." 2 weeks later, he sent the gallery. 80 photos, all stunning. I posted 3 to Instagram immediately, tagged Tyler's account. He reposted them to his story with the caption, "Working with this gorgeous couple. June can't come soon enough?" He DM'd me an hour later. "Glad you loved the photos. How's wedding planning treating you?" I responded. We chatted about vendor stuff. He recommended a florist, a band he'd worked with before. The conversation was friendly, professional. Then, a week later, another DM. Random question, "How are you?" Like, beyond the wedding stress. Everyone always asks about the wedding but forgets there's a person planning it. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Honestly, overwhelmed. There are so many decisions and everyone has opinions and I'm trying to make everyone happy. That sounds exhausting. It is. You should grab coffee sometime, vent about it. I've shot enough weddings to have heard every planning horror story. I should have said no. I should have recognized this for what it was. A door opening that I shouldn't walk through. I said, "That would be nice actually." We met for coffee 6 months before the wedding. January, cold and gray. The kind of SF winter that makes you question why you pay $4,800 a month to live here. Tyler suggested a place in North Beach, an Italian cafe with excellent espresso and no one I would know. I told Daniel I had a vendor meeting. Tyler was already there when I arrived, sitting in the back corner with a cappuccino and a leather notebook. He stood when he saw me, hugged me hello, a gesture that felt intimate and casual all at once. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, sitting down. "I know you're busy." I'm never too busy for my favorite bride. I'm sure you say that to all of them. Only the ones I mean it about. We talked for 3 hours. About wedding planning, yes, but also about everything else. My job, my family, the pressure I felt to execute this perfect day. Tyler listened, really listened, in a way I hadn't experienced in months. Daniel loved me, but Daniel was deep in a product launch at Meta, working 80-hour weeks, coming home exhausted. Our conversations had become logistical. Who's buying groceries? Did you confirm with the caterer? Can you pick up my dry cleaning? Tyler asked me questions about me, what I wanted, beyond the wedding, what made me happy, when I'd last done something just for myself. I don't know, I admitted. Everything's been about the wedding for months. That's the trap, Tyler said, leaning back in his chair. The wedding becomes this all-consuming thing, and you forget about the marriage, about the person you're actually marrying. You sound like you're speaking from experience. I am. He stirred his second cappuccino. I got married at 24, divorced at 27. Classic case of loving the wedding more than the person. What happened? We weren't compatible, but we were young and in love with the idea of being in love, and everyone expected us to get married. So we did. Spent $40,000 on a wedding. Lasted 2 years. He met my eyes. Best decision I ever made was admitting it was wrong and getting out. That sounds painful. It was. But you know what's more painful? Staying in something that isn't right just because you've already invested so much. There was a weight to the way he said it. Like he was talking about more than his own marriage. Like he was talking to me, specifically, about my marriage that hadn't even happened yet. Daniel's a good guy, I said, defensive. I'm sure he is. We're happy. Are you? I didn't answer. I picked up my coffee, cold now, and drained it just to have something to do with my hands. I should go, I said, checking my phone. Daniel's expecting me home. Tyler walked me to my car. When we got there, he touched my shoulder. Just a light touch. His hand warmed through my coat. Hey, if you ever need to talk about anything, I'm around. No judgment. Thanks, I said. Really? I drove home and told Daniel the vendor meeting went great. The texts started after that. Casual at first. Tyler checking in, asking how planning was going, sending me photos from other weddings. Thought you'd like this centerpiece idea? Or, this color palette made me think of your vibe. Then they became more personal. How was your day? Thinking about what you said at coffee. You deserve someone who makes you feel seen. I told myself it was harmless. He was being friendly, supportive. Daniel was stressed about work, barely present, and Tyler was filling a gap. An emotional gap, not anything else. 4 months before the wedding, I met Tyler again, ostensibly to finalize the wedding day timeline, where he'd be when, what moments to prioritize, shot list details. We met at his studio in Oakland, a converted warehouse space with exposed brick and equipment everywhere. We spent 20 minutes on the timeline. Then Tyler opened a bottle of wine. Celebrate, he said, pouring 2 glasses. 4 months out, the home stretch. Is this professional? Nothing about the way I feel about you is professional. He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather, like he hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of the room. Tyler, I'm not saying you have to do anything about it. I'm just being honest. He handed me the wine glass. You're the most interesting person I've photographed in years, and I don't think you're happy. You don't know that, don't I? I should have left. Should have put down the wine, walked out, called Daniel, told him everything. Instead, I drank the wine. Let Tyler show me his portfolio. Stood too close to him while we looked at prints on his wall. Let his hand brush mine when he pointed at a photo. This was from a wedding in Big Sur, he said. The bride was terrified of her marriage. You could see it in every photo. She went through with it anyway. What happened? Divorced within a year. That's sad. What's sadder is that she knew the whole time. And she did it anyway because she couldn't admit she'd made a mistake. I turned to look at him. He was inches away, closer than he'd been all evening. Claire, he said softly, you don't have to do this if it's not right. I love Daniel. Do you? And then he kissed me. Or I kissed him. I'm still not sure who moved first. All I know is that suddenly his hands were in my hair and my back was against the exposed brick, and I was kissing him back, hard, desperate, like I'd been holding my breath for months and finally surfaced. We didn't have sex that night. Just kissed. Just crossed a line I could never uncross. When I pulled away, breathing hard, Tyler touched my face gently. You're allowed to choose yourself, he said. I went home to Daniel. He was on the couch with his laptop. Video call with his team in Seoul. Barely looked up when I came in. Hey, he said, muting himself. How was the timeline meeting? Good, I said, really good. For the next 2 months, I lived a double life. On the surface, bride-to-be, finishing wedding details. Daniel's fiancé, the role I'd been playing for 14 months. Underneath, texts from Tyler, stolen meetings, parking lot makeouts. The affair that hadn't quite become physical, but was heading there inevitably. I told myself it was cold feet, pre-wedding panic, that it didn't mean anything. I told myself I'd end it after the wedding. that this was just something I needed to get out of my system. I told myself I loved Daniel, and this was just, what? Excitement? Adventure? The last gasp of freedom before committing to a lifetime of stability? The truth, which I couldn't admit then, was simpler. I liked the way Tyler made me feel. Desired. Interesting. Like I was the center of someone's attention instead of a supporting character in their product launch. Daniel was consumed with work. The wedding was my project. Tyler was the only person who seemed to see me as something other than a bride or a girlfriend or an employee. 2 months before the wedding, Tyler texted, "Need to see you. Studio tonight?" I told Daniel I was going to a dress fitting. Went to Tyler's studio instead. We had sex for the first time on the couch in his office, surrounded by wedding photos he'd taken of other couples. Other brides who probably hadn't fucked their photographer before their wedding day. Afterward, I cried. Tyler held me, stroked my hair, told me it was okay. "You're allowed to be confused," he said. "You're allowed to not be sure. I'm getting married in 8 weeks. So don't?" Tyler, I'm serious. If you're having doubts this big, don't do it. It's not too late. But it was too late. The venue was paid for. 180 guests had booked flights. My dress was altered. The invitations were mailed. My parents had spent $25,000 already. Daniel's parents had flown from Seoul. I couldn't call it off. The wedding had momentum, its own gravity, and I was caught in it. So I kept going, kept planning, kept texting Tyler, kept sleeping with him when I could invent excuses, kept lying to Daniel, who never questioned me, who trusted me completely, who was planning a future with someone who didn't exist. Wedding week arrived. Bachelor party in Vegas for Daniel, bachelorette in Sonoma for me. I was with my bridesmaids at a winery when Tyler texted. "Last week of freedom. Make it count." I told the girls I had a headache, went back to the hotel early, met Tyler at a bar in downtown Sonoma. We talked until midnight. He drove me back to my hotel, kissed me in the parking lot, told me he'd see me on Saturday. "I'll be there," he said, "watching you marry someone else, photographing it, smiling through it." Tyler, I know, I'm not asking you to choose me. Just remember you have choices. Tuesday night, 3 days before the wedding, I met him at his studio one last time. We had sex on his couch again. He held me afterwards, stroked my back, didn't say anything. When I left, he kissed my forehead. "Good luck, Claire. I'll see you Saturday." "Yeah," he said, "you will." Saturday morning, wedding day. I woke up at 5:30 a.m., couldn't sleep anyway. Hair and makeup started at 6. My bridesmaids arrived at 7. Champagne and orange juice and nervous energy. My mother cried when she saw me in the dress. "My beautiful girl," she said, touching my face. "I can't believe this day is here." Daniel and I had agreed not to see each other before the ceremony. Traditional, his mother had insisted, and I didn't push back. So he was at the venue with his groomsmen, getting ready in a separate villa, and I was here with my girls, getting pinned and powdered and photographed. Tyler arrived at noon. Professional, friendly, camera around his neck, a second shooter, some guy named Mike, trailing behind him. He photographed the dress on its hanger, my shoes, the rings, my bridesmaids helping me into the gown. He didn't look at me differently, didn't acknowledge what had happened between us, just called out directions. Jess adjust her veil, and clicked away, documenting everything. When my mom left the room to check on something, Tyler stepped close. "You look incredible," he said quietly. "Don't. Just being honest." "Tyler, please." "Okay." He raised his camera. "Smile for me, bride." The ceremony was at 3 p.m. outdoor, the vineyard behind us, rows of white chairs, the arbor I'd spent months designing. 180 guests arrived, took their seats, oohed and awed over the florals. I waited in the bridal suite, my dad next to me, my bridesmaids fussing with my train. "Ready?" my dad asked. His voice was thick with emotion. "Ready," I said. The music started. Canon in D, classic, my mother's choice. My bridesmaids processed down the aisle in their sage green dresses. Then me, my dad's arm linked through mine, walking toward Daniel. He was crying before I even reached the altar. Happy tears, overwhelmed tears, standing there in his navy suit, looking at me like I was the only person in the world. I felt nothing. The officiant, Daniel's uncle, began. Welcomed everyone, made jokes about how he'd known Daniel since he was in diapers, talked about love and commitment and partnership. The standard ceremony script. Then Daniel's vows. He unfolded a piece of paper, hands shaking slightly, and read, "Claire, 3 years ago, I met you at the worst networking event I've ever attended. Laughter from the guests. I was ready to leave. Then you walked up to me and asked what I was drinking. And everything changed. His voice cracked. You're my best friend, my partner, the person who makes me laugh, who challenges me, who makes me want to be better. You're the person I want to build a life with. I promise to love you through everything, through the good days and the hard days, through successes and failures, through all of it. I promise to always listen, to always support you, to always choose you, every day, forever. He was crying openly now. His mother was sobbing in the front row. My dad squeezed my shoulder. Daniel folded the paper, looked at me with such complete love and trust that I felt like I was going to vomit. The officiant turned to me. Claire, your vows? I had a card in my hand, Crane and Company. Stationery, custom monogram, the vows I'd written 6 weeks ago. I looked down at them. I couldn't speak. Claire? The officiant, gently. I looked up at Daniel, at his face, still wet with tears, waiting for me to say I loved him, waiting for me to promise him forever. I thought about Tyler, in the crowd somewhere, camera raised, capturing this. I thought about Tuesday night, his studio, the choice I'd made over and over again. I thought about the last 8 weeks, the lies, the double life. The fact that I'd been sleeping with someone else while Daniel was at work, trusting me, planning a future with me. And I realized I couldn't do this. I couldn't stand here and promise to love him forever when I'd spent the last 2 months proving I didn't. My voice came out strangled. I need a minute. Bathroom. I'm sorry. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Daniel's face fell. Claire? He said softly. Are you okay? I just need a minute. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. I turned and walked. Not down the aisle. Too far, too many people, but up the stone path toward the villa. I heard the officiant say something to the crowd. Heard laughter. Heard my mother's mortified voice calling my name. I kept walking. Up the path. Past the confused catering staff. Into the villa. Up the stairs to the bridal suite. I stood in the empty room, breathing hard. Panic clawing at my chest. 180 people down there. Daniel at the altar, waiting. My family, his family, everyone we knew. I pulled out my phone to text Jess, to tell her I was having a panic attack, to ask her to help me. The door opened behind me. Tyler, camera around his neck, concern on his face, closing the door behind him. Claire, what's wrong? I can't do this. The ceremony? Any of it. I can't marry him. I can't stand up there and lie to his face. Tyler stepped closer. So don't. Tyler, there are 180 people down there. So tell them the truth. Tell him the truth. I can't. Why not? Because, my voice broke. Because my family spent $30,000. Because his parents flew from Korea. Because the venue is paid for and the food is prepared and everyone is here. And I'm the bride and I'm supposed to go through with this. You're supposed to marry someone you love. I do love him. No, you don't. You love the idea of him, the stability, the future. But you don't love him. Tyler was in front of me now, hands on my shoulders. If you loved him, you wouldn't be here with me right now. This was a mistake. Was it? Or is marrying Daniel the mistake? He kissed me. I kissed him back. Because he was right. If I loved Daniel, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have spent the last 2 months cheating on him. I wouldn't have run away from the altar. But I was here, and I was kissing Tyler Hayes, our wedding photographer, while my fiancé stood at the altar waiting for me to come back and promise him forever. We ended up on the couch, the same couch where I'd gotten ready this morning, where my bridesmaids had helped me into my dress, where my mother had cried happy tears. Tyler's camera was on the dresser, forgotten. The lens cap still off, the timestamp reading 3:47 p.m. I don't know how long we were there. Long enough for my makeup to smear. Long enough for the pins in my hair to come loose. Long enough for the reality of what I was doing. Missing my own vows. Betraying Daniel in the worst possible way. To fully crystallize. When I finally pulled away, checked my phone, it was 4:14 p.m., 27 minutes. I'd been gone for 27 minutes. My phone was full of texts. Jess, where are you? My mother, Claire Elizabeth, get down here right now. Daniel, Claire, please just let me know you're okay. I have to go, I said, standing up, trying to fix my hair with shaking hands. Tyler stood too, picked up his camera, checked the screen, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. You should go back, he said quietly. Tyler, go, they're waiting. I walked back down to the ceremony. Jess intercepted me at the bottom of the path, eyes wide with panic. Where were you? I'm sorry, I panicked. Is Daniel? He's waiting. Everyone's waiting. I told them you had a bathroom emergency. Bad oyster from the rehearsal dinner. She grabbed my shoulders, looked at me closely. Are you okay? Should we stop this? No, I'm fine. Let's just finish this. She studied my face for another second, then nodded. Smoothed down my dress, tried to fix my makeup with her thumb. Okay, let's go. I walked back to the altar. Daniel's face flooded with relief when he saw me. You're back, he said. Are you okay? We can stop if you need. No, let's do this. The officiant cleared his throat. Well then, Claire, I believe you were about to share your vows. I unfolded the card. Read the words I'd written 6 weeks ago about loving Daniel forever, being his partner, building a life together. I watched him cry as I spoke, watched him mouth, I love you, when I finished. I felt like I was reading someone else's words, playing a role in someone else's wedding. By the power vested in me, the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Daniel, you may kiss your bride. He kissed me, soft, reverent, tasting like tears. Everyone applauded. His mother was sobbing. My dad was beaming. Jess was wiping her eyes. We walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, as Tyler photographed us from the side. Our wedding photographer, capturing our first moments as husband and wife. I didn't look at him. The reception was beautiful. Everything I'd planned for 14 months came together perfectly. The florals, the lighting, the food, the band. Our first dance was to La Vie en Rose, the Edith Piaf version, elegant and romantic. Daniel held me close, whispered in my ear, I'm sorry you got sick earlier. Are you feeling better? Yeah, I said, I'm okay now. Good, because this is the best day of my life. I love you so much. I love you too. Lie, the easiest lie I'd ever told. Dinner was served, toasts were made. My dad cried. Daniel's best man made jokes about how Daniel had been planning this proposal for 6 months. How he'd known I was the one almost immediately. To Claire and Daniel, he finished, raising his glass. May you have a lifetime of happiness. Everyone cheered, clinked glasses, drank. I caught Tyler across the room, photographing the toasts. He didn't look at me, just kept working, professional, moving through the crowd with his camera. The night continued. Cake cutting, bouquet toss, more dancing. I smiled through all of it. Hugged my relatives, thanked the guests, played the part of the happy bride. At one point, I went to the bathroom. Jess followed me. Hey, she said once we were alone. Are you sure you're okay? You seem off. I'm fine, just overwhelmed. It's not just that. She was looking at me closely. Claire, where were you during the vows? Really? I told you, bathroom emergency. For 27 minutes? I was panicking, anxiety attack. And Tyler? My stomach dropped. What about Tyler? I saw him come from the same direction. A few minutes after you came back. She crossed her arms. What happened up there? Nothing. He probably went to change a lens or something. Claire, Jess, please, it's my wedding night. Can we not do this right now? She studied me for a long moment, then sighed. Okay, but we're talking about this later. Fine. We went back to the reception. I danced with Daniel, with my dad, with his groomsmen, smiled for photos, cut the cake, did everything a bride was supposed to do on her wedding day. At midnight, the reception ended. Daniel and I went to the honeymoon suite at the venue, a villa with a 4-poster bed and champagne waiting and rose petals scattered everywhere. He kissed me as soon as we were alone, started unzipping my dress, his hands gentle, reverent, like I was something precious he'd been waiting to unwrap. I can't believe we're married, he said. I can't believe you're my wife. I let him undress me, let him make love to me, slow, tender, emotional. He kept saying, I love you, and I kept saying it back and I felt absolutely nothing. Afterward, he fell asleep with his arm around me, peaceful and content, and completely unaware that his wife had spent part of their wedding ceremony with someone else. I lay awake until dawn. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Italy, Rome, Florence, the Amalfi Coast. Everything I'd pinned on Pinterest during the planning. Daniel was attentive, romantic, kept calling me wife like he couldn't quite believe it. We ate incredible food, toured museums, took photos in front of the Colosseum and the Duomo. I posted them to Instagram. Friends commented, "You guys look so happy." Dream honeymoon. Marriage looks good on you. I felt dead inside. Tyler texted me once while we were in Florence. How's Italy? I didn't respond. We got back to San Francisco after 2 weeks. Back to our apartment, back to real life, back to being Mr. and Mrs. Park. Daniel went back to work. I went back to work. We started getting wedding photos from friends who'd taken iPhone shots. I dreaded getting Tyler's photos. Knew they'd arrive eventually. Knew I'd have to look at them, see myself in that dress, see Daniel's face during the vows. 3 days after we got back, Jess texted, "Coffee? Need to talk to you about something." We met at a cafe in Hayes Valley. She ordered an oat milk latte and got straight to the point. "I know what happened at the wedding." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I saw Tyler come from the same direction as you, after you disappeared. So I checked his Instagram. He posted some behind-the-scenes shots to his story. There's a timestamp visible on his camera in one of them." She pulled out her phone, showed me. 3:47 p.m. right when you left. Then I saw another story he posted later. His camera showing 4:14 p.m. That's a 27-minute gap, Claire. That doesn't mean... And I looked closer at the photos he did post from the ceremony. There are none during the vows. Not a single one. The most important part of the ceremony, and your photographer somehow didn't take any pictures? She put her phone down, looked at me directly. "What happened?" I could have lied. Should have lied. Come up with some story about Tyler having equipment problems or needing to change a memory card. Instead, I started crying. "Oh my God," Jess said. "Claire, did you sleep with him?" Not then, before, for weeks. But at the wedding, we kissed. That's all, I swear. During your vows." I panicked. I realized I couldn't marry Daniel, and I ran, and Tyler followed me, and... "You fucked your wedding photographer while your husband was at the altar waiting for you?" "We didn't fuck!" "Claire." She was staring at me like she didn't recognize me. "What the fuck were you thinking?" "I don't know, I wasn't thinking. I couldn't go through with it, and Tyler was there, and... So you ran to him instead of calling it off? Instead of talking to Daniel? You let everyone sit there for 27 minutes. Let your mom make up excuses. Let Daniel stand there like an idiot. And you were upstairs with Tyler? I know it was wrong." "Wrong? Claire, you married Daniel. You stood at that altar after and promised to love him forever. You let him give his vows. You let everyone celebrate. You let his parents fly from Korea for this, and it was all a lie." "I know. Does Daniel know?" "No. You have to tell him." "I can't. You have to. Claire, this is unforgivable. You can't keep this from him. Please don't tell him. Please, Jess, I'll figure it out. I'll end things with Tyler. I'll be a good wife." "You were fucking him 2 weeks before the wedding." I know, okay? I know I fucked up." She stood up, grabbed her purse. I need some space from you right now." "Jess? No, you're my best friend. But what you did, I can't even look at you right now." She left. I sat in the cafe alone, crying into my oat milk latte, wondering how my life had gotten here. I went home and tried to act normal, made dinner, asked Daniel about his day, pretended everything was fine. He talked about a new project at Meta, some product launch. Barely noticed I was quiet. That night in bed, he pulled me close. "I love being married to you," he said. "I know we've only been married 3 weeks, but it's been the best 3 weeks of my life." "Mine too," I said. Lie. The lie that would define our marriage. The lie I'd have to keep telling until it destroyed everything. 2 days later, Daniel came home from work early. I was on the couch scrolling through Instagram when he walked in. His face was pale. "We need to talk," he said. My stomach dropped. "About what?" "Jess called me." Oh God. She told me about Tyler, about what happened at the wedding. He was holding his phone, hands shaking. "She said you disappeared during the vows because you were with him. That you've been sleeping with him." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. "Is it true?" His voice was barely a whisper. I could have lied, should have lied. Blamed Jess, said she was jealous, made up some story. But I was so tired of lying. "Yes," I said. He sat down heavily on the chair across from me. "For how long?" 2 months before the wedding. 2 months. He was staring at the floor. "And at the wedding? When you disappeared?" "We kissed, that's all. I swear that's all that happened at the wedding." "You kissed our wedding photographer during our vows." "Daniel, you left me at the altar, in front of 180 people, in front of my parents who flew from Korea. You let everyone think you were sick. You let me stand there like an idiot, waiting for you, trusting you." His voice broke. "And you were upstairs with him." "I'm sorry." "Sorry?" He looked up at me, and I'd never seen him angry before. Not like this. "We've been married for 3 weeks, Claire. 3 weeks. And I'm just finding out that you were cheating on me the entire time we were engaged?" "I wasn't. It wasn't the entire time. How is that better?" You slept with him 2 months before our wedding, while I was at work trusting you, planning a future with you. He stood up, pacing. Did you sleep with him on our honeymoon too? No, I swear, I haven't talked to him since… Oh well, thank God. At least you waited until after we were married to stop fucking him. Daniel? I defended you. When my mom said you were stressed, when my friends said you seemed distant, I defended you. I said you were just overwhelmed with planning, that you were excited to marry me. He was crying now, open sobs that made my chest hurt. And the whole time, you were with someone else. I love you. Don't. His voice was sharp. Don't you dare say that to me. I do. I made a mistake, but I do love you. You don't love me. You loved the wedding, the dress, the venue, the perfect Instagram photos. You loved being a bride, but you don't love me. He was right. God, he was right. If you loved me, he continued, voice shaking, you would have called off the wedding when you realized you were having doubts. You would have told me instead of letting me stand at that altar and promise you forever while you were upstairs with him. I'm sorry. I had the ring, Claire, the whole time. I'd bought it 6 months in advance. I carried it with me for 6 months, waiting for the perfect moment, planning this whole elaborate proposal. And you… His voice broke again. You stood there at that altar, wearing the ring I gave you, and promised to love me forever. And then you went to our honeymoon suite and let me make love to you like none of it had happened. I was crying now, too. I didn't know how to tell you. You didn't want to tell me, because you wanted the wedding more than you wanted me. He walked to our bedroom. I heard drawers opening, the sound of a duffel bag being zipped. Daniel! He came back out with a bag over his shoulder. I'm staying at Marcus's place tonight. Tomorrow I'm calling a lawyer. Daniel, please. 3 weeks, Claire. We've been married for 3 weeks and it's already over. We can fix this. No, we can't, because you destroyed something that can't be repaired. He was at the door now, hand on the knob. I waited for you for 27 minutes at that altar. I stood there in front of everyone, trusting you, believing you'd come back. And you did come back, but you were never really there at all. He left. I sat on the couch in our apartment. His apartment, really. His name on the lease, his furniture, his life that I'd just destroyed, and cried until I couldn't breathe. The annulment was finalized 6 weeks later. Daniel didn't fight it, didn't ask for anything, just signed the papers and moved on. His parents were humiliated. My parents were furious. We had to return $45,000 in gifts. The KitchenAid mixer, the Le Creuset set, the cash envelopes, all of it. People who'd flown across the country, taken time off work, bought new outfits, celebrated with us. They all found out the marriage ended after 3 weeks. The story got around. Jess told her best friend who told someone else. The tech community in SF is small. Everyone knew. The bride who disappeared during her vows. The wedding photographer. The 3-week marriage. I became that girl. The one you whisper about at parties. The cautionary tale. Tyler and I lasted another 2 weeks after the annulment. He took me to dinner once, seemed distant, said he was busy with wedding season. Then he stopped responding to texts. I saw on Instagram he was dating someone new within a month. I'd destroyed my marriage for someone who was never serious about me in the first place. I couldn't stay in San Francisco. Couldn't go to brunch without running into someone who'd been at the wedding. Couldn't go to networking events without people recognizing me. So I moved to LA, got a new marketing job, started over in a city where nobody knew what I'd done. Daniel stayed in SF. From what I can see on social media, I haven't unfollowed him, can't make myself do it. He's doing well, got promoted, moved to a new apartment, started dating someone about 6 months after the annulment. She looks nice, normal, the kind of girl who wouldn't fuck the photographer during her wedding vows. A year later, I saw he got engaged again. Small ceremony at a courthouse this time. No big wedding, no photographer, just them and a few close friends. The caption on his Instagram? Keeping it simple this time. She said yes. He looks happy, really happy. The kind of happy I could never make him. I'm 26 now, living in LA, working at a startup, going through the motions. I date sometimes, apps, setups from coworkers, but it never goes anywhere. Men can sense something's off, that I'm damaged in some fundamental way. Sometimes I open my laptop and look at the wedding photos. Tyler sent the full gallery before everything fell apart. 800 photos documenting the worst day of my life. There are beautiful shots of me getting ready, my bridesmaids laughing, my mom crying. Photos of the venue, the florals, the guests arriving. Photos of Daniel waiting at the altar, looking nervous and happy. Then there's a gap. 3:47 p.m. to 4:14 p.m. No photos during the vows. Just empty space where the most important moment should have been. Then photos resume. Me walking back to the altar, makeup smeared. Daniel's relieved face. Us saying our vows. Getting pronounced husband and wife, kissing while everyone applauds. Looking at them now, I can see what I couldn't see then. I can see that I'm not present in any of the photos after I came back. I'm smiling, but my eyes are empty. Daniel is glowing, emotional, genuine. I'm acting. The reception photos are worse. Daniel holding me close during our first dance. Me cutting the cake, mechanical smile. Us surrounded by friends and family, everyone celebrating something that was already over. The last photo in the gallery is from the end of the night. Daniel and me walking to the honeymoon suite, his arm around my waist, rose petals scattered on the path. He's looking at me like I'm the most precious thing in the world. I'm looking at the camera, at Tyler, who took the photo, uploaded it to the gallery, and moved on to his next wedding. I still have the dress. My mom wanted me to sell it, recoup some of the cost, but I couldn't make myself do it. It's in her attic now, in its preservation box, never to be worn again. $8,500 for 6 hours of wearing it while I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes I try to explain it to people. The therapist I saw for 3 months in LA, the friends who know the story. I try to make them understand why I did it, but I can't, because there is no explanation that makes it okay. There's no version of the story where I'm not the villain. I could say I was young and scared and overwhelmed by the pressure of the wedding, but lots of people get married young and don't cheat on their fiancés. I could say Daniel was emotionally unavailable, consumed with work, not giving me attention, but that doesn't excuse what I did. If I was unhappy, I should have talked to him. Called off the wedding, not fucked someone else while he was at the office planning our future. I could say Tyler manipulated me, told me what I wanted to hear, pursued me when I was vulnerable, but I made the choice. I went to his studio, I kissed him back. I kept going back. The truth is simpler and uglier than any explanation. I wanted the wedding more than I wanted the marriage. I wanted the dress, the photos, the perfect day. I wanted to be a bride. And when faced with the reality of actually committing to Daniel forever, I panicked. Because I didn't love him. Not enough. Not the way you should love someone you're promising forever to. But instead of admitting that, to him, to myself, to anyone, I went through with it. I let 180 people travel, let families spend money, let Daniel stand at that altar and pour his heart out. I let him believe I loved him the way he loved me. And then, at the worst possible moment, when he was speaking his vows, I left him there and went to someone else. There's no version of the story where that's okay. There's no explanation, no justification, no redemption arc. I destroyed a good person on the most important day of his life. That's who I am. I have to live with that now. The wedding photos are still on my laptop. The dress is still in my mother's attic. Daniel is married to someone else, happy, having the life I couldn't give him. And I'm here, in LA, 26 years old. The girl who disappeared during her vows. The girl who chose wrong. And I have to live with that knowledge forever.